The large, circular chamber of the Galactic Council was alive with noise. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the room, their colorful forms moving restlessly as they waited for the meeting to begin. At the center of it all stood Adam Carter, a tall man with short brown hair and a determined expression. He wore a simple gray suit that made him look out of place among the elaborate robes and glowing skin of the other delegates. Beside him, Rachel Dawson adjusted her glasses nervously, glancing around at the sea of unfamiliar faces. Adam cleared his throat and stepped forward, his voice steady despite the weight of what he was about to say. "We have listened to your demands," he began, speaking clearly so every word carried through the vast hall. "And we have decided. Earth will no longer negotiate under these conditions." His statement hit the room like a thunderclap. For a moment, there was silence, a stunned pause, as everyone processed what they had just heard. Then the chamber erupted into chaos. The Zorlacs were the first to react. Their leader, a tall reptilian creature with sharp teeth and piercing yellow eyes, slammed his fist on the table. "This is an insult," he hissed, his forked tongue flicking angrily. "You think you can dictate terms. You are nothing but newcomers." Other voices quickly joined in. The lumens, whose shimmering blue bodies glowed faintly even in the bright lights of the chamber, spoke in soft, flowing tones that somehow carried anger. One of them floated closer to Adam, her translucent fins rippling. "Do you understand what this means?" she asked, her voice cold. "You risk destroying the balance we've worked centuries to maintain." Rachel leaned toward Adam, whispering urgently. "They're not taking it well," she muttered, though her words were unnecessary. It was obvious by the rising volume of protests filling the room. Adam nodded slightly but kept his gaze fixed ahead, refusing to show any sign of doubt. He knew how important this moment was, not just for him, but for all of humanity. Back on Earth, billions watched the scene unfold live on screens. Laura Bennett, a reporter known for her calm demeanor, sat in a studio surrounded by holographic images of the council chamber. "Today marks a turning point," she said, addressing her audience. "For years, humanity has been treated unfairly by the Galactic Council. Now, Adam Carter is standing up and saying enough is enough." Behind her, footage showed clips of past council meetings where humans were ignored or dismissed by more powerful species. As the debate raged on in the council chamber, Adam remained calm. He understood why the aliens were upset. After all, rejecting negotiations wasn't something anyone expected. But he also knew why it had to be done. For too long, Earth's resources had been drained while its people received little in return. Humanity deserved better, and Adam was determined to make sure they got it. Finally, the head of the council, an elderly Kirin named Elder Vin, raised his hand for quiet. Slowly, the noise died down. "Ambassador Carter," he said, his deep voice resonating through the chamber, "you must realize the gravity of your decision. This path could lead to consequences none of us desire." Adam nodded respectfully. "I do," he replied. "But staying silent would mean accepting injustice. We choose to stand our ground." With those words, he turned and walked away, leaving the council members staring after him in disbelief. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Back on Earth, the reaction to Adam Carter's bold declaration was swift and intense. News networks covered the story nonstop, showing footage of the council chamber alongside interviews with experts and ordinary citizens. Laura Bennett, a well-known journalist, stood in front of a large screen displaying images of alien delegates arguing. Her calm voice cut through the noise as she explained what had happened. "Today, humanity took a stand," she said, looking directly into the camera. "For decades, we've been treated unfairly by the Galactic Council. Now, Ambassador Adam Carter has made it clear, we will no longer accept these terms." Behind her, clips played of past council meetings where human representatives were often ignored or talked over by more powerful species. One video showed a Zorlak delegate laughing dismissively when a human tried to speak. Another showed the Kryn ambassador, Lord Vrax, cutting off a proposal from Earth without even listening to it. These moments struck a chord with viewers, reminding them of the frustrations that had built up over the years. Laura turned to Dr. Daniel Harper, a historian who specialized in interspecies relations. He sat across from her, his gray hair neatly combed, and his expression serious. "This isn't just about today," he said, leaning forward slightly. "It's about history. When humanity first joined the Galactic Council centuries ago, we were promised equality. Instead, we became a resource, a planet to be exploited." He went on to explain how Earth's minerals, technology, and even its people had been used by other species without fair compensation. "The Council's treaties were never designed to benefit us," he concluded. "They were designed to keep us weak." As the interview continued, protests erupted in cities across the globe. In New York, thousands gathered outside the United Nations building, holding signs that read, "No more exploitation," and "Stand with Adam." Similar demonstrations popped up in London, Tokyo, and Sydney. People of all ages marched together, united by a shared sense of anger and hope. Among them was Emily Torres, a college student who carried a megaphone and led chants. "We're done being pushed around," she shouted, her voice echoing through the streets. "It's time for Earth to take control of its future." Not everyone agreed, though. In Washington, D.C., Senator William Hayes held a press conference to criticize Adam's actions. A middle-aged man with thinning hair and a tired expression, Hayes looked out at the reporters gathered before him. "While I understand the sentiment behind Ambassador Carter's decision," he began, choosing his words carefully, "I believe it is reckless. Walking away from negotiations risks isolating us from the rest of the galaxy. We need allies, not enemies." His words sparked heated debates online and offline. Some supported Hayes, fearing that Adam's stance could lead to war or economic collapse. Others accused Hayes of cowardice, claiming he cared more about maintaining the status quo than fighting for justice. Social media platforms lit up with hashtags like #SupportAdam and #EarthFirst, while talk shows invited guests to argue both sides of the issue. Amid the chaos, Adam and Rachel worked tirelessly aboard the Stellar Horizon *, their diplomatic cruiser orbiting Earth. They reviewed messages from world leaders, analyzed public opinion polls, and strategized their next steps. Rachel brought Adam a cup of coffee as they sat in the ship's small conference room. "People are divided," she said, setting the mug down. "Some see you as a hero. Others think you've gone too far." Adam nodded, taking a sip of the hot drink. "I expected that," he replied. "Change always scares people. But this isn't just about me. It's about giving humanity a real voice. If we back down now, we'll never get another chance." Rachel hesitated, then spoke softly. "Do you think we can win this?" Adam set the cup down and looked at her. "Winning doesn't mean getting everything we want right away. It means standing firm when it matters most. And right now, it matters." As the days passed, the tension between Earth and the Galactic Council grew thicker. The aliens debated among themselves, unsure how to respond to humanity's defiance. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the movement supporting Adam gained momentum. Whether it would be enough to tip the scales remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. The galaxy was watching, and nothing would ever be the same again. On board the Stellar Horizon *, Adam Carter and Rachel Dawson sat in the dimly lit conference room, reviewing reports from Earth and updates from the Galactic Council. The weight of their decision hung heavily in the air. Outside the ship's windows, the blue-green curve of Earth spun silently, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Adam leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "We can't do this alone," he said finally, breaking the silence. Rachel nodded, her brow furrowed as she flipped through the data on her tablet. "You're right. If we push too hard without support, we risk alienating everyone. even the species that might secretly agree with us. She paused, then added, but not all of them are against us. Some smaller factions have hinted they're unhappy with how the council operates. Adam straightened up, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Like who? The Phyrexians, Rachel replied. They've been marginalized for years, just like us. Their leader, Talis Vera, reached out privately after your speech. She wants to meet. Adam's expression brightened slightly. The Phyrexians were an avian species known for their intelligence and strategic thinking. Though they weren't a major power in the council, their support could carry significant weight among other smaller groups. Set it up, he said firmly. If we can bring them on board, others might follow. Meanwhile, back on Earth, divisions continued to grow. Senator William Hayes had become a vocal critic of Adam's approach, using every opportunity to voice his concerns. During a live television interview, he sat stiffly in his chair, his face pale under the studio lights. Ambassador Carter's actions are reckless, he declared, pointing a finger at the camera. Isolation is not the answer. We need dialogue, compromise, not ultimatums. The audience watching at home reacted strongly. Social media exploded with arguments, hashtags trending wildly as people debated whether Hayes was being realistic or simply afraid of change. Among those criticizing him was Emily Torres, the college student who had led protests in New York. She posted a video online, her fiery tone drawing thousands of views. Senator Hayes talks about compromise, but compromise hasn't worked for centuries, she said, her dark eyes blazing. How many more resources do we have to give away before he realizes that? Adam Carter is doing what needs to be done. While public opinion remained split, Adam focused on building alliances. The meeting with Talis Vera took place in a neutral zone, a small floating platform in space where representatives from both sides could talk without fear of interference. Talis was an imposing figure, her feathered wings folded neatly behind her as she greeted Adam and Rachel. Her sharp beak moved quickly as she spoke. Your stand has inspired many, she said, her tone measured but firm. But if you seek our support, you must guarantee protection. The Kryn will not take kindly to defections. Adam understood the risk. The Kryn Empire was one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and crossing them could mean war. Still, he met Talis's gaze steadily. I can't promise safety, he admitted, but I can promise solidarity. Together, we'll stand stronger than apart. Talis considered his words for a moment, then nodded. Very well. The Phyrexians will join you, but only if others follow. Alone, we are weak. Together, we may tip the scales. Back on Earth, tensions escalated further when rumors spread that certain human officials had secretly collaborated with the Kryn. Anonymous leaks revealed emails and documents suggesting corruption within Earth's own government. Senator Hayes denied any involvement, but the accusations fueled distrust and anger among the public. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, demanding transparency. As Adam worked tirelessly to unite potential allies, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The Kryn ambassador, Lord Vrax, had grown increasingly hostile during council sessions, his glowing red eyes fixed menacingly on Adam whenever their paths crossed. It was clear that the Empire would not let humanity's defiance go unanswered. Despite the mounting pressure, Adam refused to back down. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that turning back wasn't an option. Humanity's future, and perhaps the future of the entire galaxy, depended on what happened next. The Galactic Council chamber was packed once again, the air thick with tension. Adam Carter stood at the center of the room, his posture straight but relaxed. He had spent days preparing for this moment, knowing it could be the turning point in humanity's fight for equality. Around him, alien delegates whispered among themselves, their voices creating a low hum that filled the vast space. The Kryn ambassador, Lord Vrax, sat at the far end of the circular table, his glowing red eyes fixed on Adam like a predator watching its prey. When the session began, Elder Ven, the Kirin who led the council, called for order. His deep voice echoed through the chamber, silencing the murmurs. "Ambassador Carter," he said, gesturing toward Adam, "you have requested to address the council again. Speak your mind." Adam stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Thank you, Elder Vine," he began, glancing briefly at the elderly Kirin before addressing the entire room. "I stand here today not just as a representative of Earth, but as a voice for all those who have been ignored by this council. For too long, the powerful have dictated terms while the weak suffer. It's time for change." He paused, letting his words sink in. The room remained silent, every eye on him. "We propose dissolving the current structure of the council and forming a new coalition, one built on fairness, transparency, and mutual respect. No species should hold power over another. Together, we can create a system where everyone has an equal say." His speech sent shockwaves through the chamber. Smaller factions, like the Parixians and the Lumens, exchanged hopeful glances. Talis Vera nodded approvingly from her seat, her wings rustling softly. But the reaction from the larger powers was immediate and explosive. Lord Vrax rose from his chair, his towering form casting a shadow over the room. "This is outrageous," he bellowed, his voice reverberating like thunder. "You dare suggest dismantling the very foundation of galactic governance. Humanity is nothing but a child playing at politics, yet you presume to lecture us." His claws scraped against the table as he leaned forward, his glowing eyes blazing with fury. Other delegates joined in, their voices rising in anger. The Zorlax hissed and snarled, while the aquatic lumens spoke in rapid, flowing tones that sounded almost musical, but carried sharp criticism. The chamber descended into chaos, with accusations flying back and forth. Some accused Adam of being naive, others of seeking to destabilize the galaxy for personal gain. Rachel Dawson watched anxiously from the sidelines, clutching her tablet tightly. She knew this would happen, but seeing it unfold in real time was unnerving. Still, she noticed something important. Not everyone was against Adam. Several smaller species seemed intrigued by his proposal, whispering quietly among themselves. Back on Earth, the drama played out live on screens worldwide. Laura Bennett provided commentary, her tone measured but excited. "This is unprecedented," she said, gesturing to footage of the heated debate. "For the first time, humanity is challenging the status quo, and some species are starting to listen." Behind her, clips showed reactions from protesters, politicians, and ordinary citizens, all debating whether Adam's bold move was genius or reckless. Senator William Hayes appeared on a news show later that day, shaking his head disapprovingly. "Carter's proposal is unrealistic," he insisted, his face pale under the studio lights. "Dismantling the council, that's a recipe for disaster. We need stability, not radical change." But Emily Torres, the fiery college student, countered him online. In a live stream watched by millions, she argued passionately. "Stability for who?" she demanded, pointing at the camera. "For the Kryn? For the Zorlax? They've had stability for centuries, while we've been trampled. Adam Carter is giving us a chance to rewrite the rules. Are we really going to waste it?" As the debate raged both on Earth and in the council chamber, Adam remained focused. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but he also saw cracks forming in the old system. The smaller species were beginning to question the dominance of the larger powers, and if he could widen those cracks, maybe, just maybe, he could bring the whole structure down. When the session finally ended, Adam returned to the Stellar Horizon asterisk, exhausted but determined. Rachel met him at the airlock, her expression serious. "Do you think they'll listen?" she asked. Adam exhaled slowly, his shoulders relaxing slightly. "Some of them already are," he replied. "And that's enough. For now." Late one night aboard the Stellar Horizon Rachel Dawson sat at her desk, scrolling through encrypted files on her tablet. Her eyes widened as she uncovered something shocking. classified documents that revealed secret dealings between the Kryn Empire and certain human officials. The files included emails, financial records, and even video recordings of private meetings. It was clear some people on Earth had been working with the Kryn to maintain the unfair system Adam was fighting against. Rachel's hands trembled as she read further. One name kept appearing: Senator William Hayes. According to the documents, Hayes had accepted bribes from the Kryn in exchange for pushing policies that favored their interests over humanity's. Worse still, these corrupt agreements had drained Earth's resources while lining the pockets of a few powerful individuals. She quickly called Adam Carter into her quarters. His face darkened as he looked over the evidence. "This changes everything," he said, his voice low but intense. "If we expose this, it could turn the tide in our favor." The next day, during a closed-door session of the Galactic Council, Adam stood before the assembled delegates once again. This time, however, he wasn't alone. A holographic screen lit up behind him, displaying the damning evidence Rachel had uncovered. Gasps rippled through the chamber as the documents appeared, showing how Hayes and others had betrayed humanity. "Let me make this clear," Adam said, his tone sharp and unyielding. "The corruption doesn't stop at Earth's borders. It reaches into this very council. The Kryn have manipulated us all, using fear and greed to maintain control." He pointed directly at Lord Vrax, who shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Your empire has profited from exploiting weaker species, including my own. But now, the truth is out." The room erupted into chaos. Smaller factions like the Parixians and Lumens buzzed with excitement, seeing an opportunity to challenge the Kryn's dominance. Larger powers, however, reacted with anger. Lord Vrax slammed his fist on the table, his glowing eyes blazing. "These are lies," he roared. "Humanity twists facts to serve its agenda." But not everyone believed him. Talis Vera, the Parixian leader, rose from her seat, her wings spreading slightly. "Enough," she said firmly, silencing the room. "We've tolerated inequality for too long. If what Ambassador Carter says is true, and I see no reason to doubt it, then we must act. The Council cannot continue as it is." Back on Earth, the leaked documents spread like wildfire. News outlets broadcast the story nonstop, and protests erupted outside government buildings. Senator Hayes denied the allegations, calling them fabrications designed to undermine trust. But the public didn't believe him. Footage of his past speeches, where he defended the Council's unfair treaties, resurfaced online, fuel reopening old wounds. Emily Torres led another massive demonstration in New York, her megaphone amplifying her voice over the chanting crowd. "They sold us out," she shouted, holding up a sign that read, "Expose the traitors." Thousands cheered, their anger directed not just at Hayes, but at anyone who had ever compromised humanity's dignity for profit. As pressure mounted, world leaders scrambled to distance themselves from Hayes. Some called for investigations, while others demanded his immediate resignation. Meanwhile, support for Adam surged. Laura Bennett reported live from the scene, her expression serious. "What started as a diplomatic standoff has become a reckoning," she said. "People are demanding accountability, not just from the Council, but from their own leaders." Despite the backlash, Adam knew the fight wasn't over. Exposing the corruption had shifted the balance of power, but the Kryn wouldn't give up easily. Lord Vrax's threats grew more menacing, and rumors of military mobilization began to circulate. Still, Adam felt a renewed sense of hope. For the first time, humanity wasn't standing alone. Smaller species were beginning to rally around Earth's cause, united by a shared desire for justice. That evening, as Adam stared out the window of the Stellar Horizon at the distant stars, Rachel joined him. "Do you think we can win?" she asked quietly. Adam didn't answer right away. He watched the endless expanse of space, thinking about the battles ahead. Finally, he spoke. "Winning isn't guaranteed," he admitted, "but we've already won something important. We've shown the galaxy that we won't stay silent anymore. That's a start. And for now, It was enough. As tensions escalated, Earth prepared for the worst. General Samantha Brooks, a no-nonsense woman in her late 50s with graying hair tied back in a tight bun, oversaw the rapid expansion of humanity's defense fleet. Shipyards around the planet worked day and night, constructing sleek new vessels armed with advanced weaponry developed in secret over the years. The sight of warships launching into orbit became a common one, a stark reminder of the looming threat. "We're not looking for a fight," Samantha told reporters during a rare press conference, her voice firm but calm. "But if they come for us, we'll be ready." Behind her, rows of soldiers stood at attention, their uniforms crisp and their expressions resolute. Images of Earth's growing military strength were broadcast across the galaxy, sending a clear message: humanity would not back down without a fight. Meanwhile, Adam Carter worked tirelessly to strengthen alliances. With Talos Vera's support, several smaller species pledged aid to Earth. The Perixians offered ships and pilots, while the Lumens shared intelligence on Kryn troop movements. Even some neutral factions, inspired by Adam's courage, began reconsidering their stance. Slowly but surely, a coalition was forming, a fragile alliance of underdogs united against a common enemy. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was tense but determined. Factories operated around the clock, producing supplies for the fleet. Volunteers poured into recruitment centers, eager to defend their planet. Emily Torres, now a prominent figure in the movement, traveled across the globe, rallying people with speeches that ignited hope and resolve. "This isn't just about Earth," she declared at a rally in London, her voice echoing through the packed square. "It's about proving that even the smallest voices can stand up to tyranny." Senator William Hayes, however, continued to oppose Adams' efforts. Stripped of his influence after the corruption scandal, he gave interviews from his home, warning of the dangers of provoking the Kryn. "War will destroy us all," he said, his face pale and drawn. "We need peace, not pride." But few listened anymore. His words carried little weight in a world that had already chosen its path. In the Galactic Council chamber, Lord Vrax grew increasingly agitated. The Kryn ambassador paced the floor, his glowing red eyes darting between delegates. Smaller species openly defied him now, emboldened by Earth's defiance. Some even walked out of council sessions in protest when he tried to assert dominance. For the first time in centuries, the Kryn Empire faced real resistance. Adam addressed the council again, this time flanked by representatives from allied species. "The old system is crumbling," he said, his voice steady and confident. "You can cling to it, or you can join us in building something better. The choice is yours." His words resonated deeply, especially among those who had long suffered under the Kryn's rule. Despite the progress, the threat of war loomed large. Intelligence reports indicated that the Kryn were amassing forces near Earth's borders. General Samantha Brooks ordered the fleet to remain on high alert, ready to respond at a moment's notice. "If they attack, we'll hit them hard," she told her officers during a strategy meeting. "They won't know what hit them." Rachel Dawson stayed by Adam's side throughout it all, helping him coordinate with allies and draft plans for the future. Late one night, as they reviewed maps of potential battle zones, she looked at him with concern. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" she asked softly. Adam hesitated, then nodded. "I don't know if we'll win," he admitted. "But I do know this. Standing up for what's right is always worth it. If we succeed, we'll change the galaxy forever. And if we fail, at least we'll have tried." Rachel smiled faintly, her worry easing slightly. "Then let's make sure we succeed." As the days passed, the galaxy held its breath. Humanity, once dismissed as powerless, had become a symbol of defiance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of countless worlds. Whatever happened next, one truth was undeniable: the age of silence was over. The final showdown didn't happen on a battlefield. Instead, it took place in the Galactic Council chamber, where tensions reached their breaking point. Adam Carter stood at the center of the room, surrounded by representatives from species across the galaxy. The air was heavy with anticipation, every eye fixed on him as he prepared to speak. Beside him, Rachel Dawson held her tablet tightly, ready to present any evidence or data needed to support his words. Elder Vin, the Kirin who led the council, raised his hand for silence. The murmurs died down, and all attention turned to Adam. "We've reached a crossroads," he began, his voice calm but firm. "The old ways have failed us. They've created divisions, fueled inequality, and left too many voices unheard. It's time to build something new." His proposal was simple: dissolve the current council structure and form a new coalition based on fairness and cooperation. Every species, no matter how small or weak, would have an equal say. It was a radical idea, one that challenged centuries of tradition. But this time, it wasn't just Adam speaking. Talis Vera, the Parixian leader, stepped forward, her wings spreading slightly. "We stand with Earth," she declared, her sharp beak glinting under the lights. "Enough is enough. We will not tolerate oppression any longer." One by one, other smaller factions joined in. The lumens, their shimmering bodies glowing softly, floated closer to show their support. Even some neutral species, inspired by the growing movement, voiced their agreement. For the first time, the larger powers like the Kryn found themselves outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Lord Vrax, the Kryn ambassador, looked furious. His glowing red eyes darted around the room, searching for allies. But he found few. Finally, he slammed his fist on the table. "You're making a grave mistake," he growled. "This will weaken us all." But his words carried little weight now. The tide had turned, and even some within the Kryn Empire began questioning their leadership. Back on Earth, people watched the historic vote unfold live. When the results were announced, favoring the creation of a new, fairer coalition, the world erupted in celebration. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and crowds gathered in streets worldwide, chanting Adam's name. Senator William Hayes, once a vocal critic, issued a quiet apology. "I underestimated Ambassador Carter," he admitted during a brief statement. "Perhaps there's still hope for change." Though his words came late, they signaled a shift in perspective among even the most skeptical. Adam returned to Earth a hero, greeted by cheering crowds and banners that read, "A New Dawn for Humanity." General Samantha Brooks saluted him as he stepped off the shuttle. "You did it," she said, her tone filled with respect. "You gave us a future worth fighting for." Rachel, standing nearby, smiled warmly. "What happens now?" she asked. Adam glanced at the stars above. "Now we rebuild. Together." He knew challenges lay ahead. Reforming the council wouldn't erase centuries of inequality overnight. But for the first time, humanity had a seat at the table, a real voice in shaping the galaxy's destiny. As weeks passed, Earth flourished under its newfound status. Trade routes reopened, this time on fair terms. Technology and resources were shared equally among allies. Smaller species, once marginalized, found strength in unity. The galaxy began to heal, slowly but surely. Adam often reflected on the journey, remembering the moments of doubt and fear. But he also remembered the courage of those who stood with him. Talis, Emily, Samantha, and countless others. Together, they had proven that even the smallest voices could spark monumental change. In the end, the story wasn't just about victory. It was about hope, a reminder that when people unite for a common cause, anything is possible.